Rain poured from the dark sky in heavy sheets, turning the empty roadside into a silver blur. Sarah tightened her grip on the steering wheel of her luxury car as the engine sputtered, coughed, and finally died with a hollow click. The dashboard lights flickered once, then went dark. She sighed in frustration. Her phone showed no signal and the road was almost deserted, stretching endlessly in both directions. For the first time in a long while, she felt completely helpless. Through the rain, she noticed a dim yellow light glowing ahead. A small, worn-out garage stood beside the road, its sign rusted and barely readable. With no other choice, Sarah stepped out of her car, her expensive heels sinking into the wet gravel as rain soaked her hair and coat. She hurried inside the garage where the smell of oil and metal filled the air. A man looked up from beneath an open hood. His hands were black with grease, his clothes old but clean. His tired eyes held a quiet calm. "I'm Amir," he said gently. "What seems to be the problem?" Sarah explained quickly, expecting impatience or excuses. Instead, Amir nodded and stepped outside without complaint. He examined the car carefully, listening to the engine as if it were speaking to him. Rain dripped from his hair, but he didn't seem to notice. With practiced movements, he worked under the hood, tightening a wire, adjusting a valve, and wiping his hands on a rag. Inside the garage, Sarah noticed a small girl sitting at a wooden table. She couldn't have been more than 8. She was focused on a notebook, solving math problems under a flickering bulb. Every few minutes she glanced toward the door, her eyes bright with trust. "That's my daughter Aisha," Amir said when he caught Sarah looking. "She waits here after school." Within minutes, the engine roared back to life, smooth and steady. Sarah stared in disbelief. A repair like that would have taken hours and a fortune anywhere else. She reached into her purse and pulled out a thick roll of cash, holding it out confidently. Amir gently pushed her hand back. "Pay me what you think is fair," he said with a soft smile. Sarah paused, surprised. No bargaining, no greed, just honesty. As thunder rolled in the distance, she felt something shift inside her. This was no ordinary mechanic, she realized, and this breakdown was no ordinary moment. As Sarah reached for her purse again, her heart dropped. She searched through every pocket, checked the car seats, and even looked on the wet garage floor. Her wallet was gone. Credit cards, cash, identification, everything had vanished. A wave of embarrassment and worry washed over her face. I think I lost my wallet," she said quietly, bracing herself for irritation or suspicion. Amir didn't frown, he didn't question her. He simply nodded as if such things happened every day. "It's all right," he said calmly. "These roads can be cruel, especially in the rain." He gestured toward a small bench near a dented table. "Sit, you must be cold." Before she could refuse, Amir poured steaming tea from a chipped kettle into an old ceramic cup and handed it to her. The warmth spread through her hands and into her chest. No one had offered her something so simple and so sincere in a long time. "Use my phone," Amir added, placing it gently on the table. "Call whoever you need." Sarah hesitated. She was used to assistants, drivers, and security teams, not strangers offering help without expecting something in return. She made a quick call, but the line dropped. Still, the gesture meant more than success ever could. From the corner of her eye, she watched Amir kneel beside his daughter, Aisha. He checked her homework patiently, praising her effort, correcting mistakes with kindness instead of frustration. His voice softened when he spoke to her, as if the weight of the world lifted for those moments. "Baba, are we going to be late?" Aisha asked. Amir smiled, "A little, but that's okay. Good things are worth waiting for." Sarah felt a tightness in her throat. She could tell this man carried heavy burdens, long hours, little money, endless responsibility, yet he wore none of it on his face. There was dignity in his silence, strength in his simplicity. When the rain eased, Amir picked up his car keys. "I'll drive you part of the way," he said. "The road isn't safe at night." She protested weakly, but he insisted. Aisha waved from the garage as they left. During the drive, Amir spoke little, but when he did, his words were thoughtful, measured, real. No complaints, no bitterness. When Sarah stepped out near the main road, she turned to thank him. For a moment, their eyes met. She wanted to say more, to explain something even she didn't fully understand. "Thank you," she said softly. As Amir drove away, Sarah stood there long after the taillights disappeared. She realized something rare had happened. A stranger had helped her not because he could gain from it, but because it was the right thing to do, and that honesty stayed with her long after the rain was gone. A week passed and life returned to its familiar rhythm at Amir's small roadside garage. The mornings began early, the days ended late, and his hands were always stained with grease. Customers came and went, mostly truck drivers and locals with old vehicles held together by hope and patience. Amir never complained. He worked quietly, focused on earning enough to care for his daughter and keep the lights on. That afternoon, the sound of engines unlike any other broke the silence. Sleek black cars rolled to a stop outside the garage, their polished surfaces reflecting the dusty road. One after another, the doors opened. Men in sharp suits stepped out, scanning the area with alert eyes. The regular customers froze, unsure whether to leave or stay. Amir wiped his hands on a rag, his brow creasing with confusion. Before he could speak, a familiar figure stepped forward. It was Sarah. But she was different now. Gone were the rain-soaked coat and tired expression. She wore a tailored suit, her posture straight, her presence commanding. Confidence radiated from her, the kind that comes from power and certainty. For a moment, Amir wondered if he was mistaken. Then she smiled, the same gentle smile from that rainy night. "Hello, Amir," she said warmly. The workers whispered among themselves. Amir stood still, unsure what to say. "Is something wrong with the car?" he asked finally. Sarah shook her head. "No, I came to thank you." She turned to the small crowd that had gathered, mechanics, customers, passers-by drawn by curiosity. Her voice carried clearly. "A week ago, my car broke down here. I wasn't dressed like this. I didn't arrive with security or status. I arrived as a stranger in need." She paused, letting her words settle. "I'm the CEO of one of the largest technology firms in the country," she continued. "A billionaire by most definitions." Gasps rippled through the garage. Amir's grip tightened on the rag in his hand. "But that night," Sarah said, looking directly at him, "I didn't tell you who I was, because I wasn't testing your skill as a mechanic. I was witnessing your character as a human being." She spoke of the tea, the phone, the ride home, of how Amir had refused to take advantage of her vulnerability, of how he treated his daughter with patience and love even in the middle of hardship. "You asked for nothing," she said, "and that kindness reminded me of what success should never erase." Sarah stepped closer and held out her hand. Amir shook it, still stunned. The garage erupted in applause. In that moment, the small, worn-out space felt larger than any office tower. And Amir realized this visit would change everything. The days following Sarah's visit felt unreal to Amir, as if life had quietly shifted onto a new path without asking his permission. At first, nothing seemed different. He still opened the garage before sunrise, still brewed weak tea on the old stove, still watched his daughter do her homework on the same wooden table. But change, he soon realized, doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it comes wrapped in opportunity and trust. Within weeks, construction workers appeared. The rusted sign was replaced, broken walls were repaired, new tools arrived, shining and precise, unlike anything Amir had ever owned. Sarah had invested fully, not just money but vision. The small roadside garage slowly transformed into a modern service center, bringing in customers from nearby towns. For the first time, Amir hired more mechanics, giving work to men who, like him, had once struggled quietly. Sarah didn't stop there. One afternoon, she visited again, this time without cameras or crowds. She sat with Amir and Aisha, listening more than she spoke. She handed Amir a folder containing official documents and a letter. "I've arranged a scholarship for Aisha," she said gently. "The best schools, the best opportunities. Her future should never be limited by circumstances." Aisha's eyes widened with excitement, but Amir felt tears burn behind his eyes. He tried to speak, but words failed him. No amount of money could equal what this meant to a father who had always feared he couldn't give enough. Sarah then surprised him once more. "I want you to manage this place," she said. "Not just as a mechanic, but as a leader. You understand people, that's rare." Amir hesitated. "I've never led anything this big," he admitted. Sarah smiled. "You already lead every day with honesty." As months passed, Amir grew into his new role. The garage became known not just for excellent repairs, but for fairness and respect. Customers trusted it, workers stayed loyal, and Amir remained the same humble, kind, present for his daughter. One evening, as he locked up the garage, Amir reflected on everything that had changed. He still worked with his hands, still valued simple things, but his life no longer felt heavy with fear. He didn't feel rich because of the money. He felt rich because one moment of kindness offered without expectation had rewritten his future. And he understood at last that sometimes fixing a heart leaves a longer-lasting impact than fixing any broken car.